I wanted to make this video because there were some comments in a video that we just made recently, and I wanted to share it with you. I think as a YouTuber, I go to great lengths to kind of shield you guys from all the business parts, but I figured, why? Like, let's make this personal. This is a YouTube. You're not watching broadcast TV with a bunch of faceless executives. It's just us. We have a small team, and I wanted to kind of share kind of what it's like to run a YouTube channel, right? So I'll start with this. I recently just pulled up some numbers for the year because, anybody, leave me a comment, by the way, if you're a business owner. Like, if you have to pay all your own bills, you don't get a paycheck no matter what, you have employees, like, sound off below, because this is my first time doing that. I've been an employee. I was a software engineer for years, much lower stress in my life, and I went full time in 2021, almost exactly 3 years ago now. So this is my first time being a business owner, right? So I'll share some numbers with you. You know, running a business, you think about things in terms of like the year. You might not make every dollar you need every month, but you got to just look out for the whole year and make sure that you can make payroll and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Frank says this is great. Can't wait to hear this. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a very transparent person in real life. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a straight shooter. So why not, right? So I just pulled the numbers. YouTube revenue, right? That's how much money we make from Google Ads when you watch a YouTube video, which is a big source for our revenue. For the month of May was around $5,800. Now, back when I was part-time on YouTube, like I had a software engineering job, if I had made $5,800, I would have been so happy. I would have hugged my wife and been like, let's go to dinner and go have some fun. But that completely changes when it's a business, right? Because now we're a one income family. It's Tuba Da Vinci. We have no other, and things are really expensive. You've probably seen in the world right now. Our healthcare, for example, is like $1,600 for our family, and Tuba Da Vinci has to pay for that, right? So I'll tell you this. I pulled up some numbers before this live stream. I think what I would call our 0 point is about $20,000 a month. If we make $20,000 a month, we can meet all the payroll. I can pay myself a little, way less than I used to make, but we could 20,000. We could stay afloat, right? Money beyond that is really where I can start to make some money. I mentioned that because running at a deficit of 5,800 is painful, right? The month before that was better. I think it was 8,800, and then the month before that was like 10,000. So we're now running 10, 20, $30,000 in the hole for 3 months, right? That starts to become a problem. Now, we do have one other form of revenue, which is our sponsors, right? This video is brought to you by, such and such company. So when we do those, we also make money. I'll share that with you. Like, some of our, like an average rate might be like $5,000 for a video. Now, when our views are good, everything's fine. Things work, right? 5,000 times 4 videos a week that we make, 20,000, we're kind of right there. The problem is our views have really been down lately. Budget Audiophile says, Ricky, retired and self-employed. That's awesome. Retirement is an amazing thing. And I love people who have great post-career careers, if you will, which is an amazing thing. So that's really cool. So we have sponsorship revenue. But let me tell you what's happened to us recently. And in our entire last 2-3 years, it's never come to this. But I think there's a bit of a recession. People are not spending the same amount of money. They're much more reluctant. And our views just haven't been that good. And so as a result, what's happened is companies are saying that, well, rather than paying you a flat rate of some amount of money, we'll pay you by the views, just like what YouTube does, right? And I'll share the numbers with you here as well. For every 1,000 views we get on YouTube, we make about $5.80 or so, right? So to put that in perspective, if you get 1 million views in a month, for us, that's about $5,800. So that's about how many views we had in the month of May, was about 1 million views, right? Now, the sponsors have all wanted to go that route too. They do pay more. So our sponsor rate might be between $17 and $20 right now, I'd say, per 1,000 views. So if we make a video that only gets like 50,000 views, it is brutally painful, right? Because that means we 50,000 views times 5, like $250 from Google, and like $1,000 from our sponsor, $1,200 for a video. If we make 4 of those, 6,000. That's not even close, right? And that's the trap we've been falling into. Now, in terms of our team and our costs and stuff, Dan says, I agree with the $20,000 number break-even point. It's not cheap to run a channel. Thank you, Dan. Dan runs a channel. He's been running a channel for a long time. His main channel, What's Inside, has, I don't know, was it 6 million views? He was one of the kind of the OGs on YouTube. I'm sharing this because I don't know if you guys realize, there's two things that I've realized. People don't realize that YouTubers, like, we're human beings. Like, I have family, I have a family, I have bills to pay, right? And it's a business. Like, this is a true business that we have to run. I have a lot of software licenses to pay for, medical insurances, right? Payroll. Our team is 4 full-time people and a part-time contractor. So that's where that 20,000 kind of comes from. And that's kind of the nature of it, right? So I'm sharing this because I want to bring it up to you guys so you guys kind of know what it's like from this end of the lens. But certain times of the year or certain points of during the quarter, we're forced into a tough decision where we have to make decisions that we might not have made normally. And that's where we'll do like a dedicated video, right? And we did one recently, and I wanted to kind of share some of the rules that we have. Like, first of all, you have to know we say no to probably 90% of the stuff. If you saw my email inbox, we get we get, I don't know, half a dozen, a dozen emails a day from company X, Y, and Z, and most of them are just not a good fit. Um, Christian says, dye your beard, hair blonde, and put on a cool wig and sunglasses. It's a good idea. Smiles Garage says, I started working with Destin from Smarter every day. That's awesome. He's an amazing dude. Great channel. And so when I mention all this stuff, everybody has different mechanisms of making money. We'll get to that here in a minute. But ultimately, sponsors, right? Google AdSense are the two kind of video specific ways. Then, of course, you could sell merch, right? You could sell courses. Matt Rober, one of my favorite YouTubers, he has Crunch Lab, so he has like a subscription box service with cool engineering toys. That's a really cool thing. There's a couple of other ones like that, and that's what he promotes, right? He also does sponsorships as well, and based on his views, it gets easier when your views are good, right? Based on Mark Rober's views, he's probably charging $100,000 per sponsor integration. I remember he had a video with it was like Ray-Ban or something at one point. That's probably where he's at, just based on his views. So as your views are better, everything about the business is easy. Like I sleep better at night, right? And when the views are bad, things get really bad. So the first thing I'll say is, as like the captain of the ship, I take responsibility. I think I'm not picking good enough topics, right? I mean, if you look back at our videos, I'll give you an example of one of the heartbreaking things is videos that you really love, there's no guarantee that they'll do well, right? For example, I flew to Panama in April, which was a lifelong bucket list kind of thing. I wanted to see the Panama Canal and make a video about it. And so I did. So the Panama Canal trip, I don't know, $5,000 or so it cost to make that episode, and then all the payroll and everything else, right? And it has 50,000 views on it, which means we haven't even made $1,000. We probably lost $4,000 making that episode. But I want to make episodes like that. If you're curious about the Panama Canal, they have this genius series of things that they do to save about 1 billion gallons of water every single day. And that's been a big point of contention because they've had drought. I think they're going to recover now, but I went there and I just did a ton of research, like 2 weeks of research, modeling numbers and figuring out calculations and all this stuff to make that video. But that video, which is right here, has 50,000 views or so. So that's the challenge, right? In a business, what you need is you need a money maker. That way you can have loss leaders. I'll give you an example. Like, let's say you're Apple TV or HBO. Not every show makes money, especially really critically acclaimed shows. Sometimes the viewership is low, but you win awards and you win fans and people love HBO for The Sopranos, right? Or Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones made them a lot of money, but some of the shows that they make are not big money makers, right? But then you need to have your bread and butter shows to make up the difference. And if you make a ton of money on these products and services or videos, and then you have this passion project on this documentary with David Attenborough where he goes and does things and not many people watch it, but you're so proud of it, you can afford to do that, right? And that's kind of the same thing for us. Not every video makes the same amount of money. All that we need to do is make the books match up at the end of the year, right? As long as we do that, then we're good. I'm just looking at the comments and stuff. Yeah, right. So that's the nature of the business. Now, I believe where I'm failing the company is my topic selection. I think the things I nerd out about and I think about clearly are not always what everybody else is thinking about, and for that reason, our views get kind of go bad sometimes. And there's also a momentum component to YouTube. When you have some videos that are performing really well, the next video up, I think, just gets more impressions and it kind of goes up as well. And when you're kind of in the toilet, it's the opposite. You really suffer twice because even if it's a pretty good video, it just the impressions number, meaning the number of times YouTube is putting up on recommendations or on the side, go down, and it really sucks, right? So my great failures. Dirty the Grower says, "You are failing, you are doing good, man." Yeah, I think he meant you are not failing, you're doing good. But either way, either way, I think I understand. But hear me out, right? So I'm just being self-critical because I'm a very self-critical person. I wish all of you guys, I wish I could get a beer with all of you and you guys could act like truly know me. That's why I think I've got to do this more often. But I appreciate you, Dirty the Grower. Um, my great failures are I got to pick better topics to keep the trend on the track better. Like we've suffered, like we always kind of suck. The first half of the year, the views are kind of bad. They were bad last year as well. We had the same problem. And then what happened last year is we had that Ocean Gate video, which made a ton of money. And I'll share that with you. I think we made like $75,000 that month from Google. Right? That's never happened again. That was a truly one-off. But I mean, when you're making money on Google just from views, it makes everything easier. And I'll tell you why that matters here in a second. And the second big failure is that I don't have any other kind of business to promote. I don't have a Crunch Labs that I can sell, right? Juan is in the room, and I want you to meet the team. I want you to realize like we're human beings, that like there's people who make these things, right? Juan shared a video from Mark Rober, and I was like, why, I'll watch it later. He's like, no, watch it right now. And I watched it. And the title of his video was a short was, "Why Don't Skating Rinks Melt?" And the first 15 seconds are science about how they have cooling ribbons under the floor. And then it's an ad for 8 Sleep, which is a really cool mattress topper company. And it's an ad for that. And I'm thinking, and he shared that with me because he wanted me to realize like everybody has to make the business work. This is not a charity that we run. I'm not a billionaire making YouTube videos for fun. Like this is what we have to do. And so he shared it with me, and I really appreciated it because it allowed me to, yes, hit the like button and subscribe so you can leave comments because I want to hear from you guys. I am watching as well. Everybody has to do this, right? Mr. Beast runs sponsorships. The last video I watched from Mr. Beast, he had a sponsor for, I forget what it was. He does like Shopify stuff. He does a million things, right? They're making mad money for their sponsors because it's a function of how many views you get. And so that is the game, folks. Like if we suck at getting views, everything gets pulled down and the pressure and the stress rises because you got to remember, I asked if any of the self-employed or anybody who has employees and pays the payroll, let me know, because I think you can appreciate the stress because I might not pay myself. In fact, there was a period in 2023 was a pretty good year. It started bad, but the end of the year was so good. Everything was great. 2022 was a very tough year, and I had several months where I did not pay myself at all. Right? Luckily, I saved a lot of money from my software engineering days, which allowed me to go full time. I'm pretty risk adverse, so there was a certain amount of money I wanted to save before I would do this. So there were several months in 2022 I paid myself nothing. I paid everybody else, right? And that is the heavy is the head that wears the crown. Like that's the part about being a business owner that's hard. And I think for YouTubers, what's hard is we're not traditional business people. Like I've never run my own business. I didn't have, this other business or startup. This is all new to me. And I think it's easy to take away, oh, you're a YouTuber, and kind of almost take away the fact that that is a business, right? My son at school, had a career day, and they had a vote. What do you want to be when you grow up? 22 out of the 24 kids in his class voted YouTuber. 2 voted astronaut. I think that was the final number. My wife is in there; she can correct me. I believe that was the vote. So, but and so there's an interest in that. But I think we also don't get respect for the fact that like this is an operation. If you watch our videos and let me know what you guys think. I'm kind of reading the comments. I love I'm seeing some positive comments and stuff. You guys know how much we put into the videos. Like no matter what video it is, we do a ton of animation. Like that stuff is handmade and it takes hours. It could be Juan is in the room. Let me think. I think the record is probably like 8 or 10 hours for 1 minute of end product. 10 hours of animating, like if it's an ion transferred through a membrane or something, like you're moving them around and moving the camera and setting everything up, creating assets. 10 hours for 1 minute of what you guys see, right? And that doesn't include the writing and research, which could be, I don't know, 50 to 100 hours sometimes for us, right? That Panama Canal video is not sustainable. You will not see another Panama Canal video for a while because, I mean, we just can't afford to do that, right? But those are passion projects and we will do them. Maybe the next one will be in October. Like maybe we'll do 1 a quarter. And if we get better at the views part, then maybe we could do it more often. But yes, so we need more levers that we can pull. Merchandise, we do have some merch. I mean, not really. I've never promoted it. You guys have never heard me say it. And Jack of Jack says, I love your content. I learn from you. That's what I want to hear, Jack of Jack. I appreciate that. That's our goal. Whatever we talk about, like for example, I want to do a couple of videos on this pool heat pump. And you're thinking, I don't have a pool. I don't care. Trust me. You got to watch our videos because if it's a Tuba Da Vinci video, you're going to learn something. I've done a ton of calculations and numbers, and I have this whole, it's going to be fascinating, right? The ins and outs of it all. So yeah, I've been waiting for this for all week, honestly, since Monday, yesterday. But we need more levers we can pull. Merchandise, maybe, you know, Patreon is something that you guys have maybe never heard me ever tell you to join me on Patreon. And the reason why is because we have companies that want to pay us to promote a product or something, right? Why would I want to take money from all of you when there are companies that we turn down on the daily? Like I mentioned, we turn down 9 out of 10 things that come our way. I don't really need you. I don't want you guys to. I want to be able to do this for free for you guys. What you provide, the value that you provide is insane, right? Because this channel is gone without you, and I'm back to work at a software company probably within a month, right? So you guys are the most valuable part of this part. That's why I wanted to make this video and share, instead of hiding all the numbers or the stresses, let me put it out there for you guys so you guys kind of have a day in the life of Ricky as well. Doug DeMuro has Cars and Bids. If you've ever seen Doug DeMuro, he lives in San Diego. He's this awesome YouTuber that makes a lot of really great quirks and features videos about cars. And he developed his own bidding site. So if you're trying to sell or buy a car, you go to carsandbids.com. Not sponsored. He's not sponsoring this video, but he just promotes that. He stopped taking promotions. He doesn't take money from anybody, and he promotes his own thing. So my second great failure is I've never figured out what that should be. I've never figured that out, right, Juan? Because I'm not the type of, I don't really know what to sell you. I don't want you guys to, you know, I'm not the kind of guy like, buy my course. I don't know. Should I make a course? One idea that I've had. Yeah, Cars Biz smart dude says Dirty the Grower. Absolutely. He's very smart. He's raised money. He's done a lot of stuff, right? But if you go down the list of any YouTuber, they all have to make business decisions, right? Especially when times get tough and ad spend money goes down or whatever. Him and Monroe Live, good stuff lately. Yeah, so Monroe Live, his YouTube channel is a loss leader. That's not where they make their money. He has an entire engineering business, right? And he's just, hey, Sandy, talk about this thing that you just did for this contractor. Okay, and he just does it. That's the difference, right? Sandy has a whole business, and the YouTube is just showcasing it. and that's what I don't have. Like, our business is the channel, right? We don't have something else. Jack of Jack says, merch sucks. I don't wear any names on other than mine. I'm with you. I've never found the need. Have you ever seen me wear a logo on any video? I don't care what your fashion brand is. I will never wear logos. You can pay me and I'll wear your Gucci shirt. Otherwise, I don't care about your Gucci shirt. I have zero interest in it. So I'm with you. That's why I haven't really pushed the merch part. here's a question. I'm going to start a poll, and I want to know. Okay, let's see. So I want to run a poll to see what kind of a product or service that we could develop would be of interest to you. Okay. So first of all, merch and other stuff. The second is courses. Engineer. Okay. And okay, so maybe like a course on like an engineering topic, or like how to think like an engineer is one I've been thinking about, and I'll see why. Service of some kind. None. Nothing. None. Right. So let me start this poll. Okay. I asked because I truly don't know. And I think this is a major problem as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, is you have to have a diversity of income streams, right? Like, for example, Apple can afford to lose millions, and they probably have. They've probably lost millions of dollars on the Apple Vision Pro because they can afford to lose millions. They print money with the iPhone and the Mac and services and all that stuff, Apple TV, right? They make so much money there that they can lose money on passion projects. The Apple Vision Pro is a stretch. It's an engineering marvel. It's ahead of its time. It's not perfect. It's a big gamble, right? Apple TV as well. Apple TV has some amazing TV shows and movies, and I don't know that that's really making them money. But what it does is it builds renown. Like for Apple, it's prestige. Apple Studios, Apple TV has made the best show or the best movie, right? People are talking about it. They can afford to lose that. It doesn't have to make them money because they make money elsewhere. So this is the thing. This is the thing that I think. Okay, so I'm waiting for the poll to run its course. Can you see the poll on your end? I don't really see it on mine. Yeah, it shows up properly. Okay, so. Yeah, but one thing I do know is like you probably never heard me tell you to join and become a channel member, become a Patreon. Here's why. And I love all my patrons. You guys on Patreon, you guys are amazing. I'm blown away. I'm so honored by it. But here's the reality of it. Why do I not see it? Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, okay. Sell merch actually is doing decent. I'm happy to hear that. But let's say we have 250 patrons on Patreon. Most of them are like at the dollar tier. It's like $500 a month. That's it's just maybe I need to promote it more and I don't know. But the thing is like here's the thing. What we do, we bring engineering to life. We contextualize. We bring the stories that matter. That's valuable to companies because companies reach out to us, right? Would you rather me take your money? Like, do you want to become a patron and give me $5 or like a super chat or something? Or when I have billion-dollar companies that want to, hey, could you talk about this new thing that we're working on, type of thing, right? And that's where I'm always torn. In my mind, I don't want you guys to give me your money. I just don't. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like something I'm interested in. That's why I've never had the merch. I've never done anything, right? Yeah, so Cybertruck accessories, I like that. Yeah, so basically, this gets to my point, okay? We will take sponsors, but again, cool products that we love. And these products that we make, like this video is brought to you by, are things that we truly like, things that we use. They're in the room right now. Really quick one, just looking around here right now. What sponsors do we have? Okay, there's an EcoFlow battery in here. This is the Novium pen that we ran a sponsorship for. This is cool, like aerospace pen, right? I have it on my desk. I use it all the time. There's a Renogy battery in here that we use for like as a UPS for certain things. What else do we have in here? I'll give you another example. There was a company called Lifein that made this toothbrush that we made a sponsorship for a couple months ago. I love that thing. I have ditched my other toothbrush. That I take that thing with me everywhere. I've never had a better toothbrush. I've never seen a better toothbrush, right? But how would I have ever found out about those companies? I'm not the kind of person who's like just browsing. I'm not a shopper. I'm not the kind of person who's like looking for stuff to buy. That's just not me. And so we try to get really great products that we like. There have been products that have been sent to us that we have used and said, no, no. Juan maybe remembers. Here's a fun story, okay? This is we got this scooter, this electric scooter that looked cool. It was a really cool scooter, well priced, right? It seemed like a great fit. So Juan and I was like, hey, I was like, Juan, grab your one wheel. You can follow me around. I'll ride the scooter. We'll make an ad spot kind of just going up our mountain. Going up was great. A powerful motor. It was all great. On the way down, the brake was basically a switch. It was either on or off. And so the wheel would either just lock up on you or do nothing at all. And it's a pretty steep downhill. And at one point, Juan can't even keep. I've lost Juan because his one wheel has a 20 mile an hour max speed, and he's under control. And I'm looking. I ride motorcycles. I've ridden motorcycles for about 20 years. I'm literally looking for a soft place to land. And in my head, I'm thinking I'm going to be picking out gravel out of my skin because I've done that as well. And so I'm looking for like, is there like a bunch of dead leaves or something I can fall into? That's how scared I was. But I kind of kept locking and unlocking and kind of just, kind of kept that thing and got it finally under 10, 20, 20, 15, then finally got it to stop. We went into the house and Juan and I looked at each other and I emailed my guy and said, cancel that contract. We're not running this thing. There have been a couple of others like that where I was just like, this is no good, right? Yeah, the day in the life of a YouTuber. We should have made a short about it that day. We didn't have to kill the company. We didn't have to like bury them with the detail, but we should share that. So what I realized, the realization that I made on Sunday, because I was really getting reflective, is I keep all of these things from you. You guys just see a 10-minute, 12-minute video, right? And you guys don't know the approval processes for reviews for sponsors is very painful. Like these companies, it could take a while and it takes forever and stuff, right? So Energy says, wow, I've fallen off a motorcycle once too. Falling off of them, I always wear leathers. So I have a black Dainese leather jacket that it'll be 100 degrees out. I do not care. I'm wearing it because I'm not picking up gravel. If you can imagine the visual of picking gravel pieces out of your skin. That's what happens if you fall at those kinds of speeds and you just rash on asphalt. Not fun. So anyways, these are the things that we kind of go through. And the other thing too is that there's like and I mentioned this in a previous live stream, it's endless. Like today's Tuesday, and Juan and I are kind of still recovering from a very busy week. We made 2 videos last week. And don't you feel like we're still recovering? But guess what, dude? We have to make this week's video. I got to have the script ready tomorrow. And if you and I both work on it, we will barely get it done Friday night at like 1 a.m., right? To go out on Saturday. That's the part that's hard. And that's okay. That part we kind of love. We're okay with it. But when the views are bad and you're working hard and you're up all night, that becomes really tough. So I bring all this up. Energy says I have the scars to prove it. Tyler Wilking says, if Florida had mountains, I would not be here today. Yeah, San Diego is fairly mountainous, actually. There's a lot of rolling hills in California. There's a lot of geography. It's part of what makes it beautiful, but yeah, it's also... Jack says, do you watch Louis Rossman? I do. He's awesome. He's also a very straight shooter. His videos, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak for anybody, but I will just say this about 2-Bit Da Vinci. One thing that makes us unique is we spend, I don't know, 100 hours on research and writing and over 100 hours on video animations, right? Like we just spend a ton of time on a video. I never just have the camera and I just talk for 10 minutes, right? Those videos are easy if I just talked off the cuff and whatever, but we don't do that. That's just not what we do. And so our cost to make an episode is just higher. And if you're thinking, well, why don't change that? I kind of don't want to. Like that's part of what makes this fun for me, right? And the other thing you could say is some people don't have a lot of staff and they just kind of do everything themselves, which is easier again when you're not doing as much research and writing. Like there's not enough time in a week for me to research and write an episode and then go and animate it and video edit it. That's not humanly possible in a week. So I also want to have a team. That's what makes this fun for me. What makes this the dream job, right? Because when I quit in 2021 to do this, it was a dream. This was a dream of mine for so long, and it finally happened. And that continues to be true. I didn't know how much I was getting into, I would probably say, but it is still a dream. But what makes it a dream is the people with me, like our team. If I just worked alone on a laptop all day and I worked from home and I didn't have to go into an office, I don't know if I'd want to keep doing this, guys. Like, that's not fun. I would rather just be at a software company and, you know, have a team and go out to lunch once in a while and have people around me, right? So this is the nature of it. Our team is not massive or anything, but this is kind of the nature of it. Now, I want to share before I get into before I get into one more topic, I'll tell you what we're working on to try to fix some of these challenges, right? One is we have a new channel called. Can you put up the banner real quick?
Yes.
First thing I want to say is the only promotion that I'm ever gonna push on you guys is this right here. Join our Discord. It's free. There's a lot of really smart people who are talking about installing heat pumps and water heaters and solar and batteries and have experience in aerospace engineering. And you wouldn't believe that one of the things about our channel is what my wife she called me over after our video on Sunday about the zero switch inverter, zero voltage switching inverter. She called me over and she was showing me some of the comments. They were like PhD electrical engineers. That's who watches us, and it's mind blowing. So you can imagine the kind of community. If you have a question about anything, maybe even I don't know it, trust me, the Discord would be an awesome place for you to join. So I have a link to the Discord here. And over here is our newsletter. Now, if you want the most raw, uncut, just from my mind to you each week, that's the newsletter. It's actually my favorite thing to do, and we haven't been very good about it in the past. We were doing like once a month, but I'm going to be doing it once a week. And in the newsletter, I can tell you so much more. I can tell you background about a video that I didn't put in the video. I can tell you just what's going on with us, what we're thinking about, and everything else. Claudia put it in the description as well, in the chat. But you could just scan those QR codes, take a screenshot. You could join with the link. It's just 2bit.link/discord with a capital D and 2bit.link/newsletter with a capital N. So join our newsletter, because one thing you have to also know about YouTube is I have a friend who has a great expression. He says on YouTube, you rent your audience, meaning I don't really have a connection with you except through YouTube, and YouTube could revoke my connection to you any moment, right? And at that point, we would have no way to be able to like reach you. So the newsletter, is ours. It's our thing. It's our way of connecting with you. You'll want to join. And the reason is, so some of these like dedicated video deals can be pretty lucrative. I'll make a promise though. If we make a dedicated video, there was a business decision why we had to do it, right? Two, it'll be fun. It'll be informative. Like I mentioned, there are a lot of companies that ask us to do videos and we say no, because there's just nothing there. There's nothing of interest, right? We won't do those. The video we did on Sunday is deeply interesting. I was blown away by this company. It was very interesting. Company called Hillcrest Energy. They have this amazing breakthrough. Obviously, there's a lot more to do. It's early days. But one thing that I think could potentially be is a conduit for companies who want to get the word out. If you're Tesla, you can promote yourself, right? But if you're a small company and you have some kind of cool innovation or some new breakthrough, how do you get the word out? What, are you going to run a commercial on TV? Could you imagine? Like, that's not pointed. It's not. You're not going to get the Tuba Da Vinci audience, the brilliant people watching, the highly technical folks that watch our stuff. So I think if there's a company that is a good fit and we can share it, I think you guys should appreciate it. And we'll do a better job of making it more clear, more transparent, and we'll have it chock full of information and learning. If there is not a level of learning, we will not make the video. One, is that fair? And we will go through and we will be very rigorous about this. We will be very, very, very strict on that. But I do think there's some companies that could really benefit from getting their word out, because that is the hardest thing for small companies to do. And there's a lot of really cool small companies. We've covered some of them in the past, and they're just amazing what they're working on. And the other reason why you want to join the newsletter is because I had this thought. I was like, I keep thinking of you guys, the viewers. You guys are like our. How are we doing on views, by the way, Juan? Can you see that? How many people are watching right now? I'm just curious. So, what? 135. Okay, so I think of you guys as our board members. Like, you guys are the board of directors of Tuba Da Vinci. I mean that. If you're watching right now, you guys are the board of directors. If you have ideas for videos, I've always told you, reach out to me. A lot of the videos come from you. John says the Discord link is broken. Could you kind of try that? So the link has an HTTPS in the front, right? So it would be 2bit.link/discord, like that. And then it would be, actually, let me see if I can pin this comment. Let me try it again.
QR code works.
I tried the QR code for sure. Oops, can't edit this, can I? .2bit.link/newsletter. I can't do 2-line comments, I think, but those are the two, I think. Okay, so if you guys are the board of directors, what that means is that you should feel connected to our success or what we're working on, and that's what the newsletter would allow me to do, is to share with you guys, like, hey, I've reached out to this dream company of mine and they said, yes, we're gonna make an episode, or something cool is happening. The other reason is, in the interest of sharing our successes or whatever you want to call it, we're going to do a lot more giveaways. For example, we have a video, the sponsor, the integration for the pool series that I'm planning is a company called Aper that makes these really cool pool cleaning robots. We're going to give them all away. So we're going to have for example, in a video, we'll tell you we're giving this away, join the newsletter. And then that week's newsletter will have a link to follow where you can sign in and try to enter to win. The early days is not going to be a lot of people, so your odds of winning these things are going to be really high. Plus, I would love nothing more than to take some of these things and be like, you guys enjoy these things, right? It would be amazing. I would love that. Isn't that cool? Okay. We'll pay for the shipping. If we're doing this heat pump install, it's this really cool DC inverter heat pump, which is ultra efficient, and it's incredibly cost effective. So we're really excited about that one. On that video, there's gonna be a ton of engineering on that one too. Why variable speed, variable compression, why variable is the key to all efficiency gains, and why that is, from the phase change of the working fluids and stuff. There's gonna be an amazing engineering deep dive in that video. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna install this heat pump in our master bedroom, because our master bedroom is the only room upstairs and it gets crazy hot. And honestly, I think if we just ran the AC upstairs, we wouldn't need to run the whole house AC. So instead of 5,000 watts, we could just run it on like 800 watts. And I think we'd be good. But when we do that one, Oz Jockey says Aper is killing it. Aper is insane, you guys. There's this other, anyways, you'll see that video soon. I'm blown away by this really cool part. What they have is they have a robot that skims the top, has a solar panel, just charges every day, runs. You don't have to do anything but occasionally take it out and empty the stuff. But it takes all the flowers and little leaves on top of your pool. Anyway, amazing stuff. We'll get to that. But for the heat pump, what I was thinking is, well, when we install the heat pump, what can we give away? I will literally get on Amazon in that video and buy whoever wins in that one. I'll buy it to you and have it shipped to your address of choosing, whatever you want, in that newsletter. So I was thinking, for me, sometimes, you need to take a moment to kind of reflect, because I keep thinking I have all these big dreams and ambitions, and then the years just keep going by, and I go, well, we can maybe do that now. Couldn't we do that now? I mean, it's not cheap. Like, some of this stuff will cost a little bit of money, but so what? We're making money from some of these brands, and if we can help you guys by sending you guys cool stuff that you guys could use, I think it would just be a win-win, right? So that's going to be what we want to do. And then this ties into the ultimate thing. I want you to remember one thing too. When a company makes money, you have to remember that how you spend that money is up to you. And here's what I mean by that. I worked at a company called Salesforce, which was an amazing organization, because I learned so much about my leadership from my managers, and like the Mark Benioff, all the people at Salesforce. It was an amazing place to work. And at Salesforce, they had all these models about, like, donate 1% of your time, donate 1% of all revenue. So like Salesforce donates a percent of all revenue, a percent of all their employees go do volunteer work, a percent of all their licenses is free for nonprofits. Like, they do all these cool things, right? And they've pushed other people to do the same thing too. Bong is on. Hey, Bong, how's it going? Bong's on, one of our neighbors here in San Diego. He says the EG4 solar heat pumps are really cool. I'm looking at one of those, and maybe what I'll do is, in my heat pump video, I'll give you the option. I'll either buy you the Senville heat pump that I'm gonna review, or the EG4 one that has a solar input, which is really cool. Throw some solar panels out in the lawn and run an air conditioner for freaking free. And as soon as the solar's not enough, it'll pull from the grid. So cool. That thing is really cool. That's a good idea. So a lot of my philosophies about business come from Salesforce, where I always learn like do good in the world, right? My goal is always to inform, to educate about the great things that the news doesn't cover. I like to think that a lot of the stories that we cover, you probably didn't see anywhere else. I like to think that. Now, I will say there's a lot of copycat channels that are driving me crazy. I think part of why our views are down is because there's a bajillion copycat channels that take our videos, steal our animations, right? And then AI generate a script. Like they'll take our transcript and say, hey, change this slightly and make it funny. And then they'll take our exact video. Sometimes I know it's our exact video because I'll have like a little spoof, like a little funny thing I'll do, and it'll be in there. I'm thinking there's no way, you didn't steal this from me. Now, the cool thing with YouTube is they always take our side and they'll take these videos down, but we have to find them. And normally it's our viewers, it's you guys that find them and help us with that. But there's people stealing my work if everything else wasn't hard enough. And so that kind of sucks too. But always we want to do good. And so the other big thing, and I'm announcing it now, and I'm going to tell my wife to start preparing the bookkeeping for this. I want to do, and this could grow in frequency, but for this year, 2024, I want to surprise a viewer, one of our subscribers. You got to be subscribed and be on the newsletter. The newsletter is going to be the key to all of this stuff. We're going to surprise one viewer every year, and maybe next year we can make it every quarter, so 4 times. We'll see. But with a solar and battery installation, all cost paid. We'll take care of solar, inverter, batteries, and installation, get the permitting process and stuff. It might take a while, but we will find a person who will do it and surprise you. I mean, surprise, you'll know because the permitting takes a long time, so it might be a while. But we're going to install solar on one of our viewers' homes once a year. Okay, that's what I want to do. Now, like I told you, all these ambitions and dreams scale with your performance, right? Compared to Mark Rober, I suck at YouTube because I do not get those kinds of views. And so I want you guys to understand where we come from. We have a $20,000 overhead a month, right? I live in San Diego. Our rent, our mortgage is very high. We have to pay for our own health insurance costs and stuff. So we have to make business decisions to stay afloat. But I promise you, we're gonna do some amazing stuff this year. So the giveaways might be weekly one. Maybe we'll do like a fun giveaway. And there's some really great products. Like Bong is in the chat. Bong and I always chat about the Emporia system, which is this really cool. It's like $200, like easy to give away, and it's really easy, pretty easy to install. But you just go to your service panel and you have these CTs, current transformers, and you snap them on the different circuits, and then you have a smartphone app, and you can check in real time what's using power in your house. It's such a cool gadget. I got one for my brother, and he raves about it all the time. And I know Bong has one. So we have the Span Smart Panel. That would be a fun one. Work with Span to do a Span install on someone's house and make a video about it. That would be cool. I bet you they'd be on board with that. Okay, the ideas are flowing. So Frank the Tank, love the screen name. Frank the Tank. Is that from Old School? I think that's Will Ferrell's character in Old School. Amazing movie. That was a movie I watched when I was in college. But Chris asked, "What's the name of the company?" It's Emporia. Emporia. If you pull up Emporia on Amazon, or we will call Span Claudia. Claudia, if you could, maybe one of you guys could make we'll send information about that. But yeah, we'll try to do fun stuff because that's going to be something you're going to hear from me, right? You guys are the board of directors of Da Vinci. You got to keep us in line. You got to tell us what you want. We will follow because there's no business here without you, right? And I also am going to try to be a little bit more of a personality. I'm not a boring person. I am a very quirky, crazy, obsessive, wildly ambitious person. But that never comes across in the videos because I think I've always just been a little bit reserved. Culturally, like we're very conservative and kind of reserved people, and I never make the videos about me. It's never first person. It's never like about me. It's just about the topic. Like I'm a conduit. This video is about this breakthrough. It's not about me. And what I've learned from a lot of YouTubers, like for example, Dan from What's Inside, who he might have dropped off, but Dan does a great job of like, he shares it with his family, and he made a video about his new house that he's building in Utah. And I just care about him. Like, I'm like, oh, Dan, what happened? I talked to him at an event in LA recently. I was like, what happened? Why'd you sell your house? Why did you move here? And I know all these things. And I realized he doesn't know a thing about me. No one does. I don't talk about me. But the problem I realized from the comments, and some of you defended us, like when we made that video on the dedicated video, some of you guys were defending us, but a lot of people were just like, were mad. And I realized it's because you guys don't have a connection to me. Like I'm just a YouTube video that pops up in your feed that you watch. And the danger there is, I like to think, and maybe I'm delusional. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. But I like to think that we make the kinds of videos. Dan is here. Dan makes such great videos, and I feel so connected to his house build. And I'm not gonna lie, Dan, if Dan is on, super envious of you. If there was a plot of land where I live that was just empty and vacant that we could buy and build our own house one day, oh, the dream. I shared this early, let me share this one more time. Dan, I don't know if Dan was on early enough to see this. I got to show you what I just discovered in my backyard. While Dan is building this beautiful, modern, highly insulated, state-of-the-art, sustainable house, here's what I'm working with, okay? This is my backyard. We're doing this pool renovation, right? So you can kind of see the pool over there. And this deck here was always just kind of an eyesore. And as we've been ripping it out, we found that there is a old septic tank that's been disconnected. Okay, that's not the worst of it though. Yeah, this is a little heat pump pool heater that we're going to be installing. Videos will be coming out on that. That thing is really cool. But check this. Let's see if I have it. Yeah, right here. Okay. If you look here, this PVC pipe is feeding into copper, which is not good, because you don't want to drink water coming out of a PVC pipe, because if it gets hot, it can off-gas chemicals that are not good for drinking water, right? And it'll leach into it. And I was like, surely there's no way this copper is feeding the house. I was like, yeah, go ahead and just cut it and cap it. Maybe it's feeding like a hose bib or something. There's no way that that's what we're working with. So we capped it, capped it and pulled it out. That is what is feeding our house. And of all the crazy stuff, like we had bad electrical we fixed in the office in the EcoFlow series from a couple years ago. You want to see our office renovations? It's on our channel. You can watch them. That was insane, right? And you have to also remember something too. Like we had a video with EcoFlow about installing the smart home panel, but we had to do the installation. And more than that, this house was such a mess that project took, I don't exaggerate, 6 weeks, 7 weeks to rip out the drywall and redo the wiring. It cost a ton of money. We made no money on that video, but the office is amazing and that's great, right? So some of these things are fascinating, but our house is proving to be insanely crazy. And the foundation and structure is good, but there's just goofy things like this where, they buried a clean out for the sewer, which if that clean out had been visible, we could have just cleaned that out and had no problem. But they buried it under this and we didn't see it and stuff, right? So I have the opposite situation of Dan, where I have to basically go digging in my backyard and figure out what I'm missing. And old septic. So Dan, what I want to do with the old septic is I'm going to completely clean it out, put a pond liner or two, and make it a 4x4x4, so about a 480-gallon reservoir to capture the water from our heat pump, because that heat pump produces a lot of water. So we're going to collect that water and then like rain, gutter capture, gray water capture as well, capture all that water and then pump it to irrigate the plants. So we're going to try to be zero clean water for the plant irrigation system. So that's kind of what we're doing. Frank the Tank says making a connection with your viewers helps. I agree, Frank, and I actually do love doing it. I think what happens to me is I'm very emotional, and I take things like to heart. Like wear my heart on my sleeve kind of a person, right? So like when the views are bad, I take that very personal. When the comments are bad, I take it very personal. And so I think I've kind of just tried to get YouTube videos in order, try to get better at the business, and not remember to guys put my head up and look that there's people watching. Like we're gonna have 2.5 million views this month, right? I mean, we broke 100 million views for the channel like a little while ago. For a small channel, I mean, for a medium-sized channel, that's pretty impressive. And so we're going to try to remember that there's a connection to our shareholders, right, which is you, and we're going to really honor that. And I want you guys to know why we do the things that we do, because at the end of the day, making so Dan says educational courses would be cool. So yeah, so first of all, like, I'm not going to sell you some, oh, you'll become an engineer and land $100,000. That's not what I'm going to do. Think Like an Engineer is a series that I always pitch to people. I have one of our employees helps with projects, and he was out here doing a project. I sat him down for 20 minutes and I literally was telling him, here's why you should do this. Think it through. Think of every possible, and I feel like I do this all the time. Juan, am I wrong? Don't I always think like an engineer will change your life? I've always said this. You don't have to become an engineer, but there's so many things that I do to try to like get ahead of problems, right? Like I don't like to redo things, do it right the first time. So the course would be fun. It would be entertainment. It would be about how you can look at the world and more easily understand when like that doesn't sound right. How are they doing that? For example, I've had so many commenters ask, why don't EVs have alternators to charge the battery? The government doesn't want you to have it, and Shell and ExxonMobil don't want you to know about it. Like, no, it's just thermodynamics. It's actually very, very simple to explain why that doesn't work. But I realize that it might not be that simple for everybody. So if you don't have a background in some of this stuff, it could be really valuable. And that's where I think I probably should invest in the course. The reason why I haven't is I feel like I kind of suck at YouTube still. Like I still think I'm learning how to pick good topics. And so if I'm heads down on a course for a while, how will that affect the channel? And then what if no one buys the course? Right? I mean, these are the things that business owners have to deal with. And I think that is the hardest part. And I'm sharing all this with you so you can at least understand, like, put yourself in my shoes a little, right? Because I want to be here. I want to pay my team. I want to see these guys grow. I want to get better at this. I want to do more, right? I want to do more. I want to go more on site and do more things like the Panama Canal. By the way, if you guys are at all curious about the Panama Canal, which truly is one of the greatest engineering marvels of all time, watch that video. There is no more 2-bit Da Vinci video this year that we've made. My two favorite videos are probably Sagrada Familia. We went to Spain. Again, very expensive episode to make. And the second was probably Panama. And if we want to do more of that kind of stuff, you guys hopefully can get in there and watch. I don't really... John Check, who's one of... John has been sending super chats since like 2019, I think. And I'm not even exaggerating. I love you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate you. Just your being around. I also have a good memory for this stuff. Like I know the people that watch and that are involved, and it means a ton. Energy, I see him all the time, right? Bong is somebody I chat with online. Like I actually chat with. So John says YouTube unsubscribe you with a bunch of other people I follow. I don't know what's going on, but I've been going on for a month. Glad to see you're live and like the beard. Minnesota big floods going on here. I did hear about that, John. One of our friends, Dusty, is out there. Yeah. Hopefully all is well on your end. The weather's been a little wild for sure. Parts of the world that have historically never been hot don't even have air conditioning or scorching. Dan says, how many mosquito bites did you get in Panama? Was that mentioned in your video? So it wasn't that bad. It was April, and it was before the really hot, humid, muggy time. I bet you right now in Panama it's bad. Also, I think Panama is pretty modern. It feels like America. If you want a really cool travel destination, it's not cheap. They use American dollars. The currency is American currency. Like it's not even. It is a very America friendly place. People in Panama love Americans. The two countries I've traveled to that love Americans, and there's not that many, if I'm honest with you. South Korea. We were in South Korea, and they had a parade with American flags. They love Americans. Like we have a good relationship. And the second is Panama. People in Panama love Americans. It's just a very easy place to travel to, and not many mosquitoes in April. I don't know about June, July though. Jason says first live. Jason Morales says first live, but been a fan for a while now. Thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate that. Rob said, did you get much time to vacation in Spain and Panama? So Rob, great question. I actually did get time to vacation in both. So Spain, the way it started was my wife's family, and Juan is my brother-in-law, my wife's brother. So their family is from Spain. And so we wanted to go to Spain for the Day of the Kings, the Dia de Reyes, which is on January 6th. It's like their Christmas. Christmas for them is just kind of church, and the gifts and all of that happens on the Day of the Kings. So it was kind of a dream to be in Valencia for the Day of the Kings. So we did that. And I think we spent 3 days on Sagrada Familia one in Barcelona, 3 days filming. We had the entire script written. We did all the research and stuff and filmed ahead of time. And then 3 days just walking around and gathering information and stuff and filming. And then we had probably 5 days of just vacation. And then in Panama, I went with my guy friends. That's another little picture. I went with my buddies for a 40th kind of birthday hurrah. So we went to Bocas del Toro. So if you're kind of a little party island, a couple days there, and then we spent 3 days in Panama, and I was able to. So one of the really cool things that we did in Panama that was fun is, let's see. So we actually rented a helicopter and flew over the canal. And so these are my buddy Sanup and my cousin Jeff, who just recently got married. We're all 40, and we decided to get out there. So it was kind of a fun trip to kind of fly overhead and see all that. So that was kind of a fun thing to do. So I did have some vacation on both of those. But yeah, energy, Panama gets a high recommend for me. The Panama City is beautiful, but just if you want to leave and go into quieter parts, I mean, it's just beautiful and beautiful and beautiful. Weather's amazing. It's pretty special. John asked, how is my Spanish? When I came back from Panama, I was so embarrassed because my buddy Sanup was the one speaking in Spanish, and his Spanish is actually pretty good. And they all were giving me a hard time because I'm married to someone, a native Spanish speaker, and it's not very good. So I vowed to learn more Spanish this year. Yeah, Spain is really amazing. I highly recommend Spain too for different reasons, but gorgeous, safe, clean, beautiful, great food and quality of people and safety. And it's also really affordable. Spain is crazy. We could have bought a beautiful condo, like a 2 or 3 bedroom condo in Valencia for like 80 grand or like 60 grand or something. Really affordable. Or like a 5-acre farm for like $150,000, like that. Very affordable. Um, Catchy Handle says, first live as well. Welcome and appreciate you. And can you briefly talk about water from AC condensation not being safe? Yeah, so there's a lot. So I mentioned that I have a lot of water capture philosophy, and currently it's all for gray water, meaning not for re-drinking for us humans, but just we have a 2/3 of an acre. We have lawns and trees. We could save a ton of water just by not having to use fresh water for that. So for us, that's what we're going to do. But there's dangers to condensate because I mean, there's the filters and the fins of the heat exchanger for the heat pumps can build up dirt and grime and stuff, and water can grow as water is absorbed out. It could leach into it. So there's dangers there. Also, potentially it could be perfectly pure, and perfectly pure water could be harmful because if the purity is so high, then you'll actually leach some of the you can actually lose some like muscle mass and stuff. You can like leach calcium and things. So you'd have to run it through like a reverse osmosis filter and then add minerals back like most RO systems do, which is complicated, but it's possible. And it's something, yeah, it's interesting. So Scott Cross says, I was in Boca's for a wedding in March 23. That's awesome. So Scott, I'd love to know what part. I mean, it's not a very big little place, but what was really awesome is we had this gorgeous Airbnb. It was mind-blowingly gorgeous, run by an Australian man and his wife who retired, gave up on the grind, bought this place. They've been building it out. And we rented the entire place because there was like 9 of us. But it was across the street from a place called Scully's. And he was an American guy. He was hilarious. He was like this super Republican, Trump-loving, like, hate the IRS. And he was telling us, I don't know if he was joking, but he's like, yeah, he had all this money in taxes and just ran away to Panama, has never gone back. He was hilarious. He saw us, you know, 9 brown guys sitting at the table, and he's like, "What are you guys celebrating?" He came and joined us, and guy bought shots for you know, we were just like drinking with him and spent the whole weekend kind of hanging out with him. But really cool place, really cool people. It was really fun. Um, yeah, Tyler says distilled water is good for other things. Yeah, so just have a good water strategy. If for us, when you take a shower, if you could get good like biodegradable soap or plant-friendly soap, that water should go to plants. Like that should not go down the drain. And that's easy things that we could do to try to capture all this stuff. And we're going to, right? Because our plan is no natural gas, pure solar, batteries all night. We're there, by the way. We're in this office building. It has 24 solar panels on top of it, powering this entire operation day and night. Tuba Da Vinci is completely net zero. In fact, we're negative, and we have been for months, because we actually export more power to the grid that our neighbors can use than we actually consume. And that includes driving our EVs and everything else. It's just amazing. I just nerd out about that. It's just it's so refreshing to not have to pay for gas or anything else. I will say though, just, you know, talking to you now, one of my dream cars is a Acura NSX. I miss a manual transmission, so maybe one day when I've deserved it, I'm gonna get one of those and just drive on the weekends or have it as a little collectible. But yeah, the Acura NSX, like a 99, 2000-ish, would be a dream. Tyler says that his kitchen sink goes into the French drain. So Tyler, I'm curious, like, you know, greasy foods or oils and like, you know, things like that. Would that be a problem for that? That was my concern. I was thinking for the kitchen, maybe a 2-sink system where the left side is the dirty side, and when you're rinsing and just fresh water. But I haven't thought about it very much. John Check had another super chat. John, you're way too generous. I appreciate you. He says, have you done a video like Kyle Connor on the electric boat? The Porsche boat was very interesting. I have not. There's a company called, I think it's called Navier, that's reached out. They were wanting to have us come to do an episode in the Bay Area. So that's something that's interesting. I kind of looked at the research, and the views for electric boats and stuff weren't great, so that's why I never really pursued it. But I could look into it for sure. And electric boats are really cool because, I mean, if you've ever been to a beautiful island, you'll realize, like, and you look down, there's like that oily film from all the freaking gasoline from all these freaking boats. It's just ruining the ecosystem. Boats are a freaking pain in the ass. And if you live in a beautiful, pristine paradise of a place like Bocas or Panama or Hawaii or whatever, that's the last thing you want, right? So I think electric boats can't come fast enough. Bong says he can help write the science of 3D printing. So that is Juan's latest passion. He's been 3D printing his butt off for sure. Oh, so Rick Heiner says you could have a grease trap like a commercial kitchen for the sink in the kitchen. Dude, that would be a lot of water. I like that, Rick. Thank you. I'll look into that. I don't know what a grease trap is. I've heard the word grease trap and like grease fire and things. I don't know what a grease trap actually is or how easy they are to maintain, but I'll look into it for sure. Thank you guys. That's a good idea. Willow Rock says, all I heard was 65 GTO Judge with a manual. That would be pretty awesome too. I'm not a huge muscle car guy, but I do love some of the, like the 65 GTO, that fastback Mustang, and around that same vintage. Those are amazing, fun cars. For me, I can't explain it, even just as a child. The Acura NSX just occupies a place in my mind, and it's never stopped doing that. But yeah, a weekend car. It would be interesting. Rob says, I think you have good topics. The algorithm is random. So that is true. But at the same time, Rob, I will also say that it is partially my fault, because what YouTube has changed is subscriptions don't really matter much anymore. If you probably noticed, like, wow, I really like these guys, but I never hit subscribe, but their videos keep showing up. YouTube doesn't really care I don't know why they still have it, maybe. And it's kind of a vanity metric that helps you with sponsorships and stuff. But um, if you get a video from us, you're a subscriber, and you're like, Panama Canal, not really interested, not on this one. And then The next week we have another video and you're like, again, not that interesting, I'm not going to watch it. Then to YouTube, we're wasting their time and we're wasting their potential to get your attention. So they'll stop showing you. Even if you have the bell icon turned on and everything else, if like a video or two go by and you're not interested in what we made, they'll reserve that precious time and give it to somebody else who might actually win your click. So it is still kind of our fault, I think, if you want to say it that way, right? And I'm a big boy. Like I don't, we don't have to sugarcoat it. I want to improve and be better at understanding what matters, right? And I'm fully aware that my interests are not always, what everybody's thinking about. So we'll get better at that. I promise. We will definitely find our footing and try to get hotter, right? And I wanted to just share generally with you guys some of the things that we're thinking about. So a couple of promises, right? If we make a video, like no matter what the construct, like maybe a dedicated video, like for example, let's do a little scenario. Company reaches out and says, hey, we have this really cool breakthrough, blank, we're doing this, it's really awesome. We'd love if you could showcase it, right? It's a very common use case. If we were to do that, the first thing we would ask is there something substantive? Is there something of value? And is it interesting enough for a Tuba Da Vinci video, right? Like the commenters, the people who mentioned, we love your videos, we always learn in your videos. Does it have that? If it doesn't, we will not take it no matter how much money it is, because it just won't work. Now, if there is something really fascinating, then we'll do it. But we promise that we will find some way to bring maximum value to you and continue to make it feel like a normal episode, right? Like we'll make a Tuba Da Vinci episode about something. Here's a problem, here's a solution, it's pretty interesting, and we'll make it, we're not gonna concede too much control. We don't, our scripts are our own. Like we do not take much input from anybody. The best thing I would do is I'd allow somebody to like remove a section or something, or like cut something or shorten something, but even then maybe I won't do that in the future. We'll see, right? We'll figure that out. And whenever possible, if there's a product or something, we'll do giveaways. So please join. Can you put the newsletter back up, Juan, as we wind this thing down? So I will say this. I think the big takeaway: please don't feel the need to. John Check, really appreciate you with the super chat. Please don't feel the need to send super chats. Please don't feel the need to be a channel member or Patreon. Please don't feel the need to do that, because, like I mentioned, what we do, highlighting complicated things in a easy to understand way, is a valuable commodity that people will pay us for, right? So we can make money from billion-dollar companies. We don't want to take your money, right? But if you can join the two things I will always promote going forward will be join our Discord and join our newsletter. Because in the newsletter, I can just be raw and frank and just like talk with you guys directly. And that's where all the giveaways are going to be. And I promise you, they're going to get really fun. Starting with a bunch of pool robots. We're going to do that heat pump giveaway. It's like probably like $1,000 value. What else we got, Juan, coming up? I'm thinking. There's always stuff. You wouldn't believe the amount of boxes and things that we have coming in here. And we want to share that with you, because you guys are like I said, you're the shareholders, you're the board of directors of Tuba Da Vinci, and I want you to feel that way. So you're going to hear from me a lot more often. You're going to know what I'm going through, the things I'm into, whatever. For example, I'll leave you with one more personal thing. Lately, Juan got me into anime in 2019. We went to Japan when I was like recruiting him to come start Tuba Da Vinci, right? It was just a dream. It was a small, we made videos like once a month. And I told him like, hey, come be my main editor, like grow with me. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's figure this out. And so we went to, my wife and I were planning a trip. We're like, let's invite Juan. And this would be his kind of signing bonus, if you will. So while we were in Japan, he got me into anime, which I always thought, I never got it. Like I always thought Dragon Ball Z, for example, was really dumb and cheesy. I probably still do. I've never really watched it, but whenever I've seen it, I was like, this is so lame. I never got it. But he got me into anime. I think in Japan we watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It was wildly brilliant. And then now I'm really into it. And then finally I've got into One Piece, and that's what I'm watching right now. I'm watching One Piece. I'm on episode 1000, which sounds crazy to say, but truly, one of the best stories I've ever seen. I'm a huge fan of like Tolkien, so Lord of the Rings, all the Lord of the Rings lore. I've read all the books, and to me, like Tolkien has always stood above. I think George R. R. Martin with the Game of Thrones and the Song of Ice and Fire has been kind of in that same realm, but the Straw Hats and One Piece is up there with the greatest stories I've ever seen. It's truly unbelievable, and it's an incredible medium. So anyway, Willow says watch Drifters. It's pretty good. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Do you know what that is?
No.
No, Juan doesn't even know. Okay, good. Okay, so Energy says, how about the stock ticker? I think there was different views on whether you should have them. I completely understand. They actually, the way it worked out in this last video is the only note they had was to add that little piece. In the future, maybe I'll just push back and be like, no, if you want to, I'll put links in the description to learn more about the company, and the rest is up to you, right? We're not a stock channel. I'll never, ever give you financial advice. I'll never tell you to buy something. I'll never do any of that stuff. If we find cool products that are amazing from cool ass companies for sponsorships, we'll show them to you and put links to it. That's all. The rest is up to you, right? We'll never go further than that. So John says, do you have any videos on recycling electric car batteries? Oh, that's a great one, John. We did do one, didn't we, Juan? But it might be time to revisit it. You know who has an amazing video on that? I believe it was EV batteries, was Zach from Jerry Rig Everything. Again, one of our friends on YouTube. He makes awesome stuff. His video was so good. So go look at Jerry Rig Everything. He had a great video on that. It was fantastic. And remember that I have plans of things that I want to cover. You have to remember that everything costs money, right? If I want to go and go on site to a place, if you've seen me on sites, that stuff costs money, right? So we want to do that. So like I mentioned before, when a company makes money, the coolest part about that is it's up to us how we spend it. I always tell Juan, let's spend it on crazy cool stuff. Let's get better computers. Let's be able to make better graphics. Like we have really high-end computers and 10 gigabit networking, right? Let's do fun stuff. Let's go somewhere and bring on-site information. Let's try to do more things. Like it's up to us to spend our money. And so, like I mentioned, when I went back and did the books in May, I realized like, oh my gosh, we're really behind for the year. Maybe the Panama trip was the last trip for a while, because like we have to figure this all out, but we will. And we want to share the most amazing engineering stories. We want to be the premier engineering explanation kind of channel on YouTube. We're not there, we're not close, but we won't stop. Nothing makes me happier than like the philosophy of Kaizen. Just keep improving, keep getting better. We think about that constantly, and we will be in touch with you guys to figure some of the stuff out. So Frank says everything costs money, so charge money for a course and value you provide. I think so. Can we go look at the poll? Ouch, none won. So if I'm honest with you guys, that was my fear. So imagine I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours making a course and no one bought it. That would really suck. First of all, I'd be so depressed, but it would also take away from our channel. And if I'm not working on the channel, then the views there start to slip. Then we're in dire straits, right? That's kind of the problem. So I need to think about it more. But the number 2 best one was courses. So maybe I will try the course thing, right? I do have some other ideas as well. I don't know if I mentioned it to you earlier, but we have a new channel called 2-Bit Tech. We've moved 2 of our team members to be full-time on the tech channel. And the reason why is because I think people in tech are more favorable with sponsorships and all that stuff, right? Because technology, like tech channels are all about just like, hey, here's a cool new monitor, here's a cool new gaming console, here's a cool new, right? And a lot of you guys are not very consumery, if you will. So what I need is I need some mechanism, like I mentioned, like the iPhone prints money, so that way the Apple TV shows don't have to. I need something that I can lean on. So the tech channel is young. It's called 2-Bit Tech. One, put a link to it, would you? And we're not monetized. It's a total loss leader right now, but our goal is in 6 months to a year, we can have cool tech reviews by younger people than me. I'm a 40-year-old man now, evidenced by the beard. But they're going to run a tech channel. We're going to cover a lot of cool tech stuff, and hopefully that can start bringing in some revenue to take the pressure off of 2-Bit Vinci, which the pressure looms large sometimes, I think. Hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of a perspective too about running a channel. It's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It continues to be the dream job. I could literally drop this and go back to a software company and work again. I don't want to, right? I've never worked more. I used to work 40 hours a week and make more money probably. Well, last year was pretty good, close. But now I work 70 hours a week. I'm up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, doing titles and thumbnails or final touches or whatever. But I truly love it. So that's the thing about the dream is no one ever said the dream would be easy, but it's worth it. And we got to make some decisions, especially when we're sucking it up. So how about this one? Let's just stop sucking it up so much. Let's just start getting good views, and the problems disappear. All the problems come when you're not getting the views. And hopefully I shared some numbers earlier in the video. You guys, I don't know if you heard, right? Like roughly speaking for our channel, this is different for every niche and stuff, but a good average is probably around $5 to $6 per 1,000 views, right? 1 million channel views for the month would be $5,000 to $6,000. And that sounds like a lot of money if it's extra money. But if that's your entire business, and you got to remember the businesses that have overheads, I mentioned $20,000 for me is my 0 point, right? So you start doing the math and you have to start making decisions. Now, if you get the views up, everything scales nicely. This video is brought to you by this, a little 6-second integration. It pays good money. Everything gets nice and easy. After the Ocean Gate video last year, things were easy for a couple months. It was really comfortable. I was like on cloud 9, and the stress is all kind of back. John says, Ricky, I retired at 49, U.S. Army. I think, John, I think you mentioned that. I think I knew that. That's amazing. Retirement in 9 years from now. Depends on how well we do on. Maybe possible. So some person, which is actually the screen name, says, for merch, I'd be interested in a little desk item that was gadgety and interesting that showed off some random engineering principle. So do we have can you grab me so I'm 100% with you. I'm obsessed with things like that myself. When we made a video about the Stirling engine, we actually bought 2 different types. So this one's actually probably more interesting, but you put some alcohol or something, and you light this, the air in here gets hot, increases in pressure, and then drives this piston, as you can kind of see here, and you can actually see this thing reciprocating. It doesn't make a lot of power. You could maybe power an LED, like a little LED, like a 0.1 watt LED or something like that. But this is a working Stirling engine that you can light up with this wick and use. And damn, we have a 3D printer. What if we made little things to show, I don't know, heat transfer, thermodynamics, or gearing or something, and it was just a showcase piece? I'm with you. That's why I love the pen, the space pen that I showed earlier. I love stuff like that. Just really cool things you can just put out on display. I love globes. I'm obsessed with globes. I think they're just the most amazing thing. Ben says that he'd get the Stirling engine. The Stirling engine would be really hard because you got to machine metal bits and stuff, because you got to be able to take heat and but that's a really what was the name of it? Some person, which is again actually the username. I appreciate that. I'm with you. We got to get clever. I just generally need to get clever about the business, right? Everybody else has figured out something that they can sell themselves. I need to do the same thing as well. And until I do, I hope that gives you guys a little insight into what it's actually like to run a YouTube channel, some of the numbers, right? Some of the stresses and how it compounds, like everything compounds. And there are times when I miss being just an employee and just getting a paycheck no matter what, and taking time off freely and everything else. Like now everything's a little bit trickier, but at the same time we get to do this, right? Which is amazing. I think Claudia is saying that, I think Rick had another comment about a podcast with guests. I'm trying to. Oh, okay. A podcast with a guest. So I do think some person says I love globes too. Zero Joshua says I love your honesty. I think you guys might not know that about me. If you have anybody who ever knows me or has ever met me in person, open book. I'll tell you anything. Like I don't. I had a manager one time who told me that you should you should 100% talk about your salary with your coworkers. And I remember thinking like, that's so faux pas, that's so forbidden or taboo. He's like, no, bull. You should 100%. When you, anywhere you go. And he was telling me advice that would not help me where I was, because it's like against his interest, but he just cared about me as a person. I've always just been very blessed with amazing managers, but he always told me, anyone, anywhere, and you should talk about salary. Be open about it. Because if you don't know what other people are making, or if you don't know what other people are doing, how can you ever negotiate for yourself? How do you know if 2% raise is good? Is it good? You won't know unless it's relative to something else. So for that, I've always been a very open book. Love doing it, and I love the connection with you guys. We're going to be going live a lot more often. Something my wife has pushed me to do, but I've always like, oh, I got to go shave and get ready, and it always felt like a big burden. But now that we have all the setup, we've gotten pretty decent at recording stuff. I've got this, I can share my screen and things like that. Yeah, we're going to be going live, and join our newsletter. I want to say that one final time. Join the newsletter. It's free. You'll just get an email once a week. That's it. There's nothing else attached to it. And we're going to use that as our platform for communications with you, and for how we're going to do giveaways, right? Because we want to share our successes. When we do well, we should do well together. Right? And when we're views are bad, we can reach out to you guys and be like, please watch the videos when they come out, and work together. But we're going to use that newsletter as our platform for how we're going to put this into action, right? I don't want this to just be like empty talk. And we're going to freaking do this one. I think we start with anybody who has a pool, join the newsletter, because we're going to be sending out amazing pool robots like in the next week or two, depending on when we get that video finished. But yeah, newsletter, raw, uncut. Sometimes there might be like even typos, because I truly just go sit down, maybe I'll like pour a little whiskey or something, like have a seat, and I just write. And it's one of my favorite things, because I don't overthink it and proofread and correct it and massage it. I just write, and it's the most raw and unfiltered tuba Da Vinci you're probably going to get. And these live streams as well, they're pretty much the same thing, but I get a little bit more time to be profound, I think, in the newsletter. So are you looking for something? Comment or something? Yes, Willow says the fridge ran on a pilot flame. I remember thinking to myself, it was fascinating. My dad had an RV for a little while, and it was a propane refrigerator. Isn't that bizarre? A pilot light on a refrigerator. But it's fascinating. Engineering is freaking fascinating, guys. Like, I could go on and on and on. There's like endlessly cool stuff. No politics. Yeah, you'll have to go somewhere else for politics. I just don't care. I spend zero time thinking about politics or politicians. I just think it's a waste of your time. I've always told my friends, like, the only reason, Rob says, what whiskey do you drink? I'm not particularly well versed or into it. Right now I have this Macallan's 12 year that I got for my 40th birthday that I recently opened up, and it's been really nice. I'll take a while to get through it, but it's just a nice way to like just kind of reflect on the day. I find it to be very peaceful. But yes, no politics. I've always joked and told my friends, like, the only excuse why you should waste any time watching politics is if you're going to run a YouTube channel about politics. Like, there's some people, David Pacman, or there's like various pundits who cover politics on YouTube videos and do as their business, right? That's how they make money. Other than that, I truly don't understand. I don't think it's not something of interest to me. I like the engineering world that I can understand. I don't understand the rest of it. So yeah, you will never hear me get into politics. I'm sorry. And it's not because I'm trying to be PC. I'm not a very PC person, actually. I just don't care about politics. If you want to know, I'm very centrist. I'm really not left or right. I kind of believe that there's value in both. I'm kind of a pretty centrist person. Philip Moore says, I joined the newsletter. Appreciate you. A couple other people said that as well. I think it's time for us to wind this thing down. I wanted to, again, thank you for joining. This is the most, I think it's the most fun I've had in a while. What?
Claudia says, thanks, Philip.
So Claudia is my wife, and the newsletter is her baby. So she has a special level of passion for the newsletter. And I think, again, she was right. She ends up being right quite a bit. But the newsletter now I'm starting to see is really the place where I can just really kind of communicate with you and have a connection that's permanent and that someone can't just pull away from me, right? So yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, and I don't think you guys are into politics. I just know that you're not. I don't know how I know that, but I just know. The people that I really spend time with and I really love, there's some of them are YouTubers. You probably like, if you want to know the people I chat with the most often outside of my family, it would be I'm in a YouTube chat with Ryan, who runs a channel called Zeroth. If you ever seen Zeroth, great channel, you should check it out. Matt Farrell, he runs Undecided, one of my best friends, one of the greatest people I know. Alex, he runs a channel called Ticker Symbol U. He's a MIT rocket scientist he runs a science behind the stock kind of an investing channel. It's really cool. But those guys, we're all in this YouTube mastermind Discord room, and we just talk about all the stuff that's happening in YouTube and learn and strategy. And none of us have ever uttered a word of politics ever. And it's not because I just have never, it never crosses my mind. Politics never crosses my mind. It'll never come up. Yeah. Energy says, is there a way to see previous newsletters? Honestly, Energy, I wouldn't worry about it. We've only had 5 or 6 episodes. Like I mentioned, we were just finding our footing. But now that I've made it such a big deal, I've put the link up there and all this stuff. I'm going to take it real serious. It's going to be going out every week. So don't sweat it. The format is pretty simple. We'll cover a news topic that we couldn't cover during the week. We can only make so many videos. Then we'll kind of talk about our video for the week. So it's a way to promote our video. But you're going to get extra stuff. There's going to be things about the video that we couldn't do in the video, either for time constraints or whatever. So there's going to be extra stuff. So it's going to be interesting. And then finally, we'll do like what we're working on, maybe around the house, our net zero dreams and stuff. And then just what we're doing, what we're planning, what we're thinking, or maybe we need your help. Like, for example, I'm doing a video on blank, and any chemists out there who could help me with this part or something. And that's where you guys could really chime in. The Discord is really good for that too. There's some good discussions I've had with people. People have helped me with scripts. You guys can be as active or inactive as you want. It's up to you. But we're a community. Let's act like it, right? That's what's on the screen right now. Again, no memberships, no credit, none of that. Just come join us, come chat with us, and get our newsletter. It's just a way for us to share with you what we're doing, and I'm really excited about it, actually. So thank you. So I think it's Photo FL says, will there be bonus videos in the newsletter? So probably not. And the short of it is, we struggle to make one video a week, truly. Juan and I, because it's already Tuesday, luckily the script is almost done, not fully done. But depending on what time we film tomorrow, Wednesday, that gives us like a half day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Juan and I will, what we do is we kind of divvy up the video editing stuff, but it'll be all hands on deck for 3, don't you think?
Yep.
To get this thing done. So we truly struggle to make one video a week. Now, what I could do maybe is do more kind of a off the cuff, just iPhone, not even get the full camera gear out, and just do more raw videos about things that we're working on and stuff. And we could put those in the newsletter. I think I overthink everything. I overthink everything. This is a common thing. My wife will joke. She'll be like, hey, let's go buy that. And then I'll go, oh, well, we need to rip that wall first and do this and do that. And she's like, what are you talking about? I just wanted to buy a cup. And I'm like thinking about 20 things. That's just the engineering mindset. I can't turn it off. It's annoying sometimes. Juan is over here shaking his head. Claudia's going to say something. But I do overthink things, and I think there's a place on YouTube for that. By the way, so 2-Bit Tech is the tech channel. We had this channel from 2017 called 2-Bit Life, and I think what I'm going to do is literally no editing. It's just going to be me holding a camera, doing videos. It'll have educational stuff. It's not going to have animations and stuff, right? But we can share with you more frequently there. So we're not ready for that yet. Don't worry about that right now. When we're ready for that, we'll tell you. Yeah, Claudia just said, what about the live channel? So overthinkers sound a bit like me. Yeah, Frank, what I've learned being on YouTube as long as I have, our viewers are a lot like me. I can just tell from the comments. I've seen some of the most brilliant things in the comments, and I think to myself, why didn't I think of that? I missed that. I didn't even think about adding that as a blank. We have a way of finding each other, and that's the power of YouTube. If there's one thing about YouTube I love above all, there's no greater mechanism on earth that humanity's ever built to bring people together. Whatever you're into, right? Makeup, beauty, cars, DIY stuff. Robert, one of my friends, he said do an EV conversion. If you're into that kind of thing, whatever you're into, you will find your people on YouTube. It's an amazing thing. So that's something. Overthinking is a superpower. That's actually a nicer thing. I was expecting it to be something worse, actually. So that's pretty good. I'll take that, Claudia. Thank you. Um, but yeah, on 2-Bit Life, when we're ready, don't worry about it. Don't share anything yet. When I'm ready to kind of promote that more, that'll be a place for just much faster stuff. If any of you guys watch Kyle Connor, Out of Spec Motoring, one thing I envy about him is he puts zero effort into his videos. Like he'll turn on a phone for 30 minutes, and then when it's done, he'll hit stop and hit upload on YouTube. I envy him. Like, oh my God, are you kidding? I would spend 300 hours from this moment between hitting stop and hitting upload. And he's just like done. He just has a phone, he holds it, walks around, shows the car, and goes, all right, thanks for watching, and then uploads it. And I've always thought to myself, why do I do this? Why do I make this so hard for myself? I think 2-Bit Da Vinci should maintain its premier place in the world. It'll be a premier place where it's like the polish is there, and then we'll do this other thing somewhere else. So stay tuned for all that stuff. If we have any announcements or anything like that, it'll be in the newsletter. And if we anything, it'll all be there. And we'll see you guys next week. I can't wait to go live again. Yeah, so we'll chat then. And I want to thank you. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit about what it's like to do this. If you have any questions and stuff, email me. You guys should have my email. It's in the newsletter. So when you see that, shoot it, shoot an email if you're thinking about starting a channel. I know one viewer, Casey, who's not on today, but one of my friends, he has a channel and he makes videos as well. So like, if there's anything I can help you with or whatever, I'm an open book. I'm happy to help any of you guys. So, and don't forget that we want to do a solar and battery installation for free for one of our viewers this year. We have 6 months to pull it off one. No pressure. We gotta edit videos twice as good. Okay.
Yep.
Robit Da Vinci. I like that. I like that. Yeah. So we have a lot of exciting stuff. And I wanted to tell you that because it's not fair otherwise for you guys to wonder why we do the things that we do. You need to know. That way, we're on the same page. And I don't need to, make it a big thing. All right. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the highlight of my week. I truly mean that. I really appreciate it. Leave us comments. Let us know. All the negative comments, I read those too. You guys need to know that. Part of why we're on this live stream, right? I take all that stuff very serious, heart on my sleeve, like I mentioned. So keep us moving in the right direction and keep. Thank you, Tyler Wilkins says thank you. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate you. Thomas Jacob, I appreciate you. Just Philip, love the emoji. That's so cool, Memoji. Thank you guys so much. Solo emprendedor. What does that mean, Juan? Solo emprendedor. You know what that means? No? Okay, anyways, gracias to you as well. Really appreciate all of you guys. And we will catch you soon. And God bless and have a great week. Cheers.